Minutes past 9 as we continue this morning looking at the budget speech, doing analysis on the budget speech, and looking at this post-budget speech analysis. We joined on the line this morning by Wayne Duvenage, Chief Executive Officer at Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA. Wayne, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and nice to be with you and your listeners today.
Yes, obviously we've seen the speech and we've seen the finance minister give his budget speech yesterday, and they've been talking about a tax windfall, thanking this tax windfall that there will be a tax relief and an extension to the social relief of distress grant. But there are just so many other issues. We're talking about a windfall of 181 billion, but the key issue here is, and what stands out is what is eye-popping is the debt that this country has incurred, 4.3 trillion, projected to increase to 5.43 trillion by 2024, 2025. And we're paying 20 cents out of each rand just in servicing this debt, Wayne.
Yes, it is a challenge and it is a problem, and the outcome of relaxed fiscal management and state capture and so forth. And now the future generations have got a lot of work to do, and that has already started. And one can see that the new Minister of Finance is not allowing the windfall tax just to be gobbled up, but to start settling debt, to start managing our debt wisely. So it's a long journey, and it's not going to happen overnight. He's being very prudent, very cautious with those funds, and not throwing them, into what the populist demands are for increases in civil servants' salaries and other areas where I think we could lose this funding very quickly, these windfalls. So we're hoping for more windfalls, but we've got to settle the debt.
Well, certainly, that is just one issue. But when one looks at the troubles of this country over a period of time, and when one looks at, corruption, when one looks at mismanagement, when one just looks at a number of issues that have arisen over a period of time. For instance, we're looking at Sestria, the riots and the looting that had taken place. Now, here we go again from this windfall. We're talking of about 7 billion cash injection to Sestria, which is the state's insurer, and also at the same time looking at the state-owned enterprises over a period of time, the mismanagement there that had taken place. There is just so much that has happened, and the key question here is, will we ever get out of the spiral of debt? And this windfall is basically a tip of the iceberg. We know it helps in some way, Wayne, but it's still the tip of the iceberg considering the problems, the huge economic problems this country is faced with.
Yes, absolutely. But I think we need to see more implementation. We've heard very often this discussion on state-owned entities, especially the non-core ones that are draining the country. And hopefully Enoch Godongwana is going to stick with that journey that which is them, and either get fixed or they get sold, and those discussions are happening now. We don't need to be in this business of running airlines and armaments manufacturing and so forth. And I think what we heard in Godongwana's speech is that carrying on from the message from Sona, is that government is not the provider of jobs. It is the enabler of jobs. Business that creates jobs and investment in this country. And so we can see some recognition. And I think for us, the positive was this call that we put out for some time to stop these incessant increases in fuel levies and road accident fund contributions. That came through loud and clear. The minister has heard civil society there. And for the first time in over 2 decades, did they not increase the fuel levy and the road accident fund. So these are positive signs, and the reduction in the income tax to businesses. We are still paying high taxes as a nation, and if we're going to attract businesses to do the job creation, and we need to make it attractive for them by reducing the company taxes and all these other taxes. So these are some of the good signs coming out. It doesn't happen overnight. this is a journey that we're on, and there were some positive signs that came out of this tax budget.
As you mentioned, Wayne, it is a journey, but it is going to be a long journey. It's going to be a hard journey. But this country cannot afford what has been taking place in the last 20 years. And this is where you and I, the taxpayer, have basically have lost to an extent. I think we have lost hope, but hopefully, with the finance minister and his vision and what he had said yesterday in terms of presenting his budget, I think this is extremely important that future generations and we've seen so much happen in the last 50 years, but for the sake of future generations, as you mentioned, job creation is just one of the issue. South Africa needs to move forward. We need to all the baggage that we are carrying in the past, we need to get rid of that baggage.
Yeah, and it can happen quite quickly, although it's a journey. If we have more windfalls and we have more investment in the country because they see we're moving in the right direction, then that swing can happen relatively quickly. When I say that over 5 years, we can see some substantial change and move in the right direction. So hopefully this is the start of more good stuff to come. But, it's one thing to have the money, but it's another thing to throw this money into a pot. So if we're going to fix education, for instance, and make people employable when they leave school and that, then we've got a lot of work to do to fix the education system, which is not operating at the levels it should. We are one of the lowest on the African continent when it comes to our education outcomes, and we don't seem to be getting the right people into the right positions within government. And this is a result of cadre deployment and the ineptitude that follows that. So hopefully we're going to see some changes there. There's 2 years to the next elections, and this government has got a lot of work to do if it's going to try and convince people to vote for them next.
Yes. Now, also just finally, Wayne, when we're talking about tax windfalls, in terms of recovering what has been stolen in this country, and I think that is extremely important because that still needs to be a relentless endeavor to pursue those who have stolen, and they've stolen a lot, and that is the reason why we see this ballooning debt, and it's scary that it's going to go up to well over 5 trillion rand.
Yes, and we're encouraged by additional funds put towards the Hawks SIU, the NPA, the Investigators Directorate. These are all good signs. Never enough, but moves in the right direction. And I don't think we'll ever recover all of the money that was stolen. What we want to see is accountability and the recovery of as much as we can. But to stop the rot is important, so that no future money is lost to maladministration and corruption, and to see those who wasted our money and misspent it and stole it behind bars. That would be, increasing the hope to a substantial impact in this country, and that's what we want to see. And then obviously try and recover as much as we can, but you're not going to get it all back.
Well, Wayne, thank you very much as always for taking time out talking to us. We wish you all the best. Please take care.
Lovely. All the best. Cheers. Bye.
Wayne Duvenage joining us this morning, organization Undoing Tax Abuse. And the time is just gone 9:29. We're going to go for a break. We come back. We'll be joined by Nazim Adam, Palestine Solidarity Alliance.
One small gesture can change someone's